So apparently Lil Durk was like, you motherfuckers at O Block that are not willing to slide for Von, I'm gonna get hits on you guys.
The streets of Chicago have never been quiet, but when Lil Durk's name gets tied to violence, things get even darker. Word on the street is Durk made a chilling promise to certain O Block members who refused to slide for King Von, and now new footage has surfaced showing exactly what he allegedly did to them. We've got all the details. Let's break it down. When the streets turn on themselves, what happens when the biggest name in the city starts moving against his own soldiers? When the same blocks that helped you blow up suddenly become your targets? Today we're diving into one of the craziest situations to ever hit drill rap, because word is Lil Durk wasn't just beefing. With his ops, he allegedly put hits out on his own. O Block homies, and for one shocking reason, they weren't sliding hard enough for King Von. This isn't just regular street politics, fam. This is about how pain, paranoia, and loyalty twisted by loss allegedly turned one of Chicago's most respected rappers into something far more dangerous. And the craziest part? All the receipts are sitting right there in federal court documents, texts, witnesses, and snitches ready to testify. A whole operation that only got stopped because 12 pulled up at the exact right time.
Let's go over this. Lil Durk is facing no shortage of legal trouble these days. Currently, he's behind bars, which we already went over this. Carissa reports that now prosecutors also allege that he put hits on O Block members for not retaliating for King Von's death. I'm gonna pipe it up.
But before we get into these wild claims about Durk allegedly turning on his own crew, we need to understand how it all started. Because this story doesn't begin with betrayal, it begins with loyalty. Real Bonds brothers who came up together in one of the most dangerous parts of Chicago's South Side. Lil Durk, born Durk Devontae Banks in 1992, grew up in Englewood where the Black Disciples ran the streets. By the time Durk was coming up, the BDs had splintered into smaller sets that acted like separate families, close-knit, but always ready to clash. Durk repped Lamron, that's normal spelled backward, a BD set from 63rd, and normal known for hustlers and early drill pioneers. Back in 2010, when Durk was just 18, he started Only, the family. At first, it was more of a street crew than a label, but it really gained power when it linked up with O Block, the infamous Parkway Gardens projects that became ground zero for drill music. Block named after O.D. Perry, who was killed. In 2011 was basically a war zone. Poverty, police raids, and constant shootings shaped a generation of rappers who turned their pain into raw drill anthems. Together, Lamron and O Block formed what people called the 300 Coalition, basically a BD supergroup that pooled money, muscle, and music. Then came King Von, born Davon Bennett in 1994, O Block's storyteller, the rapper who made drill music sound like real street poetry. When Durk signed Von to OTF around 2017 through Empire Distribution, it was the perfect setup. Durk gave Von a way out of O Block's endless violence, and Von gave Durk that undeniable street credibility, something you can't fake. Their early collabs like the Crazy Story remix in 2018 went viral on YouTube, racking up millions of views and making them the faces of BD. Drill. Von's lyrics were detailed painting pictures of life in O Block and its 400 soldiers, cementing that brothers against the world image behind the scenes. OTF was more than music. It was operating like a BD extension money for lawyers. Coded talk about slides and music videos that blurred the line between art and the streets. Right on O Block turf, they showed everyone who really ran things, but that unity built on pain, loyalty, and survival was about to be shattered in the most violent way possible. November 6th, 2020, the night everything changed. King Von was shot and killed outside an Atlanta hookah lounge after a fight broke out with Quando Rondo's crew. It all went down around 3:26 a.m. outside Opium Hookah Lounge on Campbell Road, and surveillance cameras caught everything. Von and Timothy Leaks, one of Rondo's guys, went from arguing to throwing punches. Then in a matter of seconds, it turned deadly. Leaks pulled out a 9mm Glock and fired 6 shots, hitting Von in the chest and legs. Von dropped instantly, his white tee soaked in blood. But here's where it gets messy. Atlanta police showed up right as the gunfire erupted. In the chaos, one officer fired shots that killed Leaks, but by then Von was already fatally hit. Despite all the rumors that police killed him, the autopsy confirmed Von died from Leaks' bullets, not law enforcement. The impact hit like an earthquake. Within hours, Riker Slide for Von was trending everywhere with thousands of posts demanding O Block retaliate against Rondo's crew. But something strange started brewing behind the scenes. While Durk was publicly mourning, posting tributes on Instagram, and later dropping that emotional track, What Happened to Virgil, which hit number 18 on Billboard privately, he was feeling something else. pure frustration. According to federal paperwork filed in October 2025, Durk allegedly grew angry with O Block members for not getting proper payback for Von's death. See, in their world, there's a code written in blood: when your people get touched, you hit back immediately, no hesitation. And in Durk's eyes, according to prosecutors, O Block wasn't honoring that code.
In reality, it just happened the way it happened. Like, it didn't have nothing to do with age and none of that shit. Just Von put the Floyd Mayweather on the motherfucker. Happened. That's a different situation. His situation, what did he do? Well, what did young boy do for everybody want me and him think we want to kill each other?
Durk's mindset only got darker after another major loss. June 2021, his half-brother D. Thang was shot and killed in Chicago, just 27 years. Old in a broad daylight hit that death, possibly tied to the growing GD beef, and Von's unsolved murder allegedly made Durk even more paranoid. He started looking at O Block's silence not as caution but as weakness, not as patience, while police swarmed after Von's death, but as betrayal. By 2022 and 2023, whispers about tension inside O Block were getting louder. What once looked like an unbreakable alliance was starting to crack. Lemron dudes like Durk expected O Block to move with the same energy they did, but O Block was under heavy police watch after Von's death. Every move was risky, every slide could mean a federal case. That caution? Durk allegedly saw it as unforgivable, and that's when things reportedly took a dark turn. A turn that showed up in encrypted text messages. A turn involving bought cars, planned hits, and payouts per body. According to an October 6, 2025 federal brief, prosecutors claim they have evidence showing Durk directing violence against O Block members who didn't retaliate for Von and the main target. Rapper Muna Duke, real name Jalen Carson, an O Block member and one of Von's close homies. Prosecutors say Durk saw his post-Von diss tracks as all cap, no real action behind the words.
So apparently Lil Durk was like, you motherfuckers Block that are not willing to slide for Von, I'm gonna get hits on you guys because you guys ain't doing what the telling you guys to do. Allegedly, by the way. Which is some gangsta shit, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, to put hits on his own, basically his own hood because they're not listening to the Godfather, Lil Durk.
But let's not jump too far ahead before we break down those wild April 2023 text messages, the canceled hit plans, and the insider who's ready to spill everything we need to look at how deep the Fed's case against Lil Durk really runs. Because those alleged internal hits, they're just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. The government's been putting together a puzzle filled with murder-for-hire plots, cross-country hits, and enough evidence to possibly lock Durk away for life. This isn't just another rap case. The feds have spent years building what they call proof that Durk's label OTF was running like a criminal organization, one that enforced loyalty through targeted violence, and right at the center of it all is the August 22 Los Angeles shooting. The one was meant to take out Quando Rondo, but ended up killing the wrong person.
Lil Durk murder for hire. So let's get some updates.
Man, this shit's so crazy. See my
A lot of interesting things are happening, but let's go over the first one, which is Lil Durk's lawyers. Last year, Lil Durk was arrested for an alleged murder for hire plot, and he's been behind bars ever since. Authorities believe he allegedly advised members of his crew to fly from Chicago to Los Angeles back in 2022 to kill Quando Rondo.
On October 24, 2024, Lil Durk was officially hit with a federal indictment in Central California, charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire and using interstate facilities to carry it out. The charges trace back to the August 19, 2022 shooting at a North Hollywood gas station on Vineland Avenue, the night Quando Rondo's West Coast tour turned deadly. Surveillance footage from the station shows two black vehicles, a rented Toyota Camry and a Hyundai Sonata, circling the lot. Both cars were later traced through toll records back to Chicago. Then at exactly 8:47 p.m., 5 masked shooters jumped out, all dressed in black ski masks, gripping Glocks with extended mags. As Rondo pumped gas, they unleashed 18 rounds in just 12 seconds. Rondo managed to dive behind his car and survive with only a graze wound. But his 20-year-old cousin Savia, Lil Pab Robinson, an up-and-coming rapper and blood relative, wasn't so lucky. He was hit multiple times in the chest and head, collapsing in a pool of blood as panicked bystanders scattered. Paramedics pronounced him dead at the scene. Now here's where it gets deep. Prosecutors say they've got a full trail, money, and digital that ties Durk straight to the hit. According to court, Filing's OTF corporate cards covered $22,000 in one-way flights from Chicago's O'Hare to LAX for 5 Chicago shooters booked on August 17th under fake names. Another $15,000 allegedly went toward burner phones and hotel stays at the Hollywood Roosevelt. Then came $13,000 more for rental cars and gear which witnesses say was code for guns. But the real smoking gun? A wire transfer from Durk's personal Chase account to OTF treasurer DeAndre Kuda. B. Wilson on August 10th memoed Vaughn. Fund just 9 days before the shooting. IRS records show that transfer lined up perfectly with a spike in Durk's 2022 streaming revenue. Prosecutors claim Durk's command came remotely through iCloud data pulled from his seized iPhone 14, including FaceTime calls with the alleged hit squad en route and messages like, "Stay low, make it clap for the gang," and "after the hit." We etched that GD Street slang for marking a fatal victory, and Durk isn't standing alone in this case. The indictment names 6 total defendants, 5 alleged OTF affiliates listed as co-conspirators. DeAndre Kuda B. Wilson, OTF's money man charged with wire fraud for the $5,000 payout. Antonio Boone Mo Jones, Durk's security, accused of tracking Quando Rondo's tour schedule. Devin Zoo Collier, OTF's road manager. Allegedly the getaway driver, Keith 5 Thomas and Asa Barnes, 2 Lamoran shorties with long juvenile records identified as the shooters. All 5 first pleaded not guilty in December 2024, but the game completely changed in March 2025 when Keith 5 Thomas, flipped now known as prosecution witness number 1, he handed over more than 200 hours of recorded calls detailing what he claimed were Durk's own green light approvals.
The prosecutors in Lil Durk's case are now throwing out new allegations that he put hits out on O Block members. So let's get into this article by The Source and find out a little bit more about it. Lil Durk is reportedly facing serious allegations from federal prosecutors who claim he ordered hits on O Block members for failing to retaliate following King Von's unalive.
Now you might be wondering, why haven't we heard anything about the trial yet? Well, Durk's case has been delayed multiple times, pushed back. 3 times since 2024. The trial was originally set for October 2025, but it's now been moved to January 2026. According to the court, the reason for the delay is the unusual and complex nature of the case, along with the massive amount of evidence and multiple co-defendants involved. In short, this isn't your average trial.
As for Lil Durk's trial that was previously scheduled for August of this year, it has since been moved to January 2026. The delay reportedly came as a result of unusual and complex nature of the case, the amount of evidence, the amount of co-defendants, and more. So they're trying to get this shit dismissed entirely. But there's more.
Right now, Durk is still being held in isolation at the Metropolitan Correctional Center after his $5,000 bond request was denied. Prosecutors painted him as a major flight risk, pointing to his $3 million in assets, access to private jets, and a history of alleged witness intimidation. So far, bond hearings have been denied 4 different times, but Durk's legal team, led by high-profile attorney Drew Findling, the same lawyer representing YNW Melly, hasn't stopped fighting since October 2024. They've filed 5 separate motions mixing constitutional challenges with discovery disputes in an attempt to get him released.
Now all hip-hop's grouchy Greg Watkins exclusive reports that Durk's legal team is fighting to get the case dismissed. In a new motion, they argue that the indictment isn't detailed enough to allow them to properly prepare for trial. While the indictment alleges that the co-conspiracy carried out various acts at the direction of Mr. Banks, flying to Los Angeles, tracking, stalking, and attempting to kill Quando Rondo by gunfire, and procuring the firearms and equipment used to do so, it fails to give any specifics.
Their latest move, filed on October 7th, 2025, is a motion to dismiss all charges, claiming Brady violations, which basically means the prosecution allegedly hid evidence that could have helped Durk's defense. According to them, the first statement from witness PW1 said Durk knew nothing about the logistics of the case, but later, recordings seem to contradict that, something the defense calls coerced, flip-flopping in exchange for immunity. Durk's attorney Drew Findling went all out in a 45-page brief. He argued that while the indictment claims the so-called co-conspiracy acted under Durk's direction, it never specifies when, where, how, or even to whom Durk supposedly gave those orders. They're also challenging the iPhone evidence, calling it fruit of the poisonous tree. The defense says Durk's Florida traffic stop, where the phone was seized, had no real probable cause, which would taint nearly 70% of the digital evidence back in February 2025. A judge agreed to partially suppress the data, removing about 20% of the text, but Durk's team wants everything thrown out, and it gets even crazier in late August 2025 correctional officers reportedly seized an Apple Watch with cellular service from Durk. When they caught him, he allegedly tried to damage the device before the feds could get their hands on it.
Continuing on, there's some reports that come out with Lil Durk being caught with an Apple Watch in prison. So let's go over this. Prosecutors are alleging that Lil Durk was caught with an Apple Watch in August and tried to destroy it before authorities could seize it. They laid out the claim in a motion requesting an anonymous jury for his upcoming trial. They argued that the alleged incident raises concerns of the possibility of witness tampering.
Prosecutors are using all this to argue that Durk still poses a danger to the public, claiming he's been obstructing justice even from behind bars, and the charges he's facing, they're no joke. Under 18 U.S. Code section 1958, conspiracy to commit murder for hire carries a minimum of 10 years. But if he's convicted of the actual murder for hire, Durk could be staring down a life sentence. The stakes couldn't be higher for him right now. But hold up, we haven't even reached the craziest part yet. The part prosecutors say proves Durk wasn't just targeting his enemies. On the outside, I'm talking about the April 2023 text messages, the ones involving O'Block, because according to investigators, while the feds were still building their case around the Rondo shooting Durk was allegedly plotting something even darker, a plan to take out members of his own crew.
There's more. They're saying evidence related to Durk Banks directed and ordering violence against rivals. They said there's evidence relating to Durk bounty for the killing of Stephon Mack. Remember, he's not charged for that, but they continue to use this. On January 27, 2022, as charged in U.S. versus Montgomery and Wilson.
Court documents from October 2025 revealed a series of text exchanges from April 2023, where Durk allegedly showed deep frustration with O-Block members who he felt weren't doing enough to retaliate for Vaughn's death. In one exchange, Durk reportedly texted, "I'm going to pipe it." Upstreet slang for "I'm about to start." Shooting or initiate violence, think about what that really means, fam. This wasn't just about gang beef or street politics. Anymore, prosecutors claim this was an artist, so consumed by revenge that he allegedly turned his anger inward against. His own circle against O'Block, the same place that gave the world. King Von against the foundation that helped build his empire in the first place, and it doesn't stop there. Far from it, because prosecutors say they've got even more evidence ready to bring to trial evidence, showing direct threats, Instagram DMs, and what they call Durk's pattern of unleashing his crew to track down and hunt his enemies. In April 2023, around the same time as the alleged O'Block plots, Durk was reportedly in another group chat with several affiliates, including 5 Boon Mo and Zoo. According to court papers, Durk shared a screenshot of an Instagram DM he sent to Richo Ramsey, an OPP from Chicago's Lamron 6051 area, who allegedly had loose ties to Vaughn's killers. The message read, "I got them hunting you up ads better have 3 ski masks on." Prosecutors interpret that as, "I got people hunting you, you better wear 3 ski masks to hide during an attack."
And somebody else, where he sends a screenshot of an Instagram message he sent to Richo Lamron that says, "I got them hunting. I got them hunting you. I got them hunting you up. Ads better have 3 ski masks on." Oh, so this is the guy who was getting hunted. Richo Lamron 300. Richo Lamron 300.
Prosecutors say this DM shows Durk allegedly unleashing his crew to hunt down ops, just like in the Rondo and Lil Pab plot, where ski masks were reportedly provided to the shooters. The group chat discussions allegedly celebrated or planned follow-ups to Pab's killing, with Boon Mo supposedly replying, "Hunting season," a direct link to the mention of masks. Ironically, Rico, the same target of that alleged threat, later posted free smirk on social media in October 2025, hinting that maybe the threat was just all cap, more talk than action. Prosecutors say intent is what counts in court. Whether it happened or not, they claim Durk's words and influence set the tone for everything that followed.
So Durk allegedly was gonna turn his TV off, rock his snot box. These are all allegations, probably lies. The good brother Durk would never do something like that. Durk is a man of faith. I don't believe this. I don't believe this. So Durk told him there was gonna be 3 with ski masks coming at him. Count his days.
Now I know what you're thinking. How is all this even allowed in court? This is where it gets legally complex, fam. Prosecutors are trying to bring it in as other acts evidence under Federal Rule of Evidence 404B. That rule lets them show prior Bad acts not to prove someone's a criminal by nature, but to show motive, intent, and no mistake in what they did. In other words, they're trying to tell the jury, look, this wasn't some random one-time thing with Quando Rondo Durk's got a pattern. They claim he funds violence through OTF, uses coded language like hunting and pipe it up, and provides cars, straps, and money for hits not just against ops, but even against his own guys when they disappoint him. Durk's defense team is fighting back hard, though. They argue these snippets are out of context, break discovery rules, and rely on uncorroborated snitch statements. They're pushing to have it all thrown out, calling it prejudicial overkill and salacious spillover meant to inflame the jury, not inform them. A crucial hearing is set for November 18, 2025, where Judge Carter will decide what evidence actually makes it to trial. Legal analysts say Durk's motion to dismiss has about a 30% chance of winning, meaning there's a 70% chance this case goes to trial, with most of the evidence still on the table. But here's where things get even crazier. My Guy prosecutors also filed a motion for an anonymous jury, claiming Durk's supporters have been threatening federal officials. Yeah, you heard that right. Fans crossing the line. This is where you see the difference between fans and real-life stans.
And this is kind of crazy. This is where, you got fans and then you got stans. And this is where stans. This is not like fans. The FBI is claiming that Lil Durk fans have made threats of violence against a prosecutor and a judge as the rapper remains behind bars while awaiting his murder for hire trial. That is insane. Fans are literally threatening the prosecutors and the judge in this case. That is not a fan. That is a stan. That is a psychopath, right?
According to FBI reports filed with the court, multiple people called the Central District of California court and left threatening voicemails for both the magistrate